Mm. Hey, it's Nicole, and I'm back with Positive Impact Empire. And today we are going to nail down, we're going to get some tips and ideas about how to transition from a corporate job, the corporate lifestyle, into the life of your dreams. And Malcolm Evans is here with me today to tell you how you will never have to interview again. Hi, Malcolm. How are you?
I am fantastic, Nicole. Thank you so much. It's great to join you. And, for people that couldn't see any of that, because we like to hide the stuff, that little technical issues, we fixed it.
Yeah, we were running a little bit behind. We apologize. There were some technical difficulties. As you know, this is not a kind of like a machine yet. Everyone's
Yeah.
always got technical difficulties going on. We're always kind of struggling with that, but I'm glad that we figured it out, and
Yeah.
Malcolm is here with us. So, Malcolm, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background, and then we can dive into some great questions. And feel free, those of you who want to watch us today, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them up here. We'll be doing some contact information for Malcolm a little bit later, but right now, tell us how you started this and
Well,
why.
well, thank you so much, and I do appreciate the opportunity to share my message and so on. We've had some great conversations over this
Oh,
last couple of weeks and so on, and I'm really looking forward to this. Um, People often say to me, you're not, I live in Atlanta. They say, you're not from the South. I said, yes, I am, but it's a different one. I grew up in Wales in the UK. Sister, mom, dad, lived in a pub, been around small business all my life. I had two heroes growing up. One was my dad, and the other one was John Wayne. And they both had a big influence on me. And and what I got, I must have tried everything growing up.
wait, can I just ask the most obvious thing? Not Sean Connery? No, he was not one of your.
Well,
You
not
sound
quite.
just like him. I'm saying, just saying.
Not quite Mush Money Penny. He's Scottish. I'm Welsh, but
Oh, okay. So,
do you know he started out as a coal man, delivering sacks of coal on his back,
wow.
and he just passed away. And it's another one of the heroes that are gone. And this is some of the stuff that I talk about as well, about generations going forward and me. Anyway, the John Wayne thing. Go West, young
Yes.
man. And so, at the age of 24, I married my high school sweetheart, and off we went. But we were both pretty bad at geography, so instead of going west to Canada or America, we ended up going south to Africa. And we just loved the
Wow.
outdoors. We liked the animals. There was a lot of things going on there we weren't really sort of prepared for walking into, but we adapted, and that was the beginning of really where I say the adaptation. I'm a safe pair of hands. I'm good under fire. I've lived in different cultures. I've done the Atlantic 3 times. And the last large company that I worked for, which was the third one to move me across and the family across the Atlantic, I stayed with them, took a local contract, and that was the beginning of where I am today. I didn't realize this coming in, but in 2012, this large company I worked for, I was always close to the money, and that was one bit of advice. I had lots of
Right.
budgets and programs I was running, and I stepped into another role and was at the mercy of different business units, which contributed our budget every year, and we got defunded. So there were four of us and my boss that were out in the street, and which was it was a little bit of a shock. And they did all the right things, good company, loved them to bits, and so on. Very respectful of them, nice severance package, and so on. But I was unprepared for some of this stuff. I was the good employee. Can you believe a week before I'd had a promotion and a raise?
Wow.
And then he said, "Hey, we can you come into a short meeting?" And we just got blindsided. No, I rolled with those punches. I went off and we had a small break. And,
Right.
got another job, but after a couple of years of the corporate stuff, just the excitement wasn't there.
Right.
It was coming into a bit of a paycheck. I felt that there were other things that I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was what I've always got a kick out of, and that was developing people, showing them, how to close the gaps in performance and have them move on in their careers, and then that progressed into what the trend was coming of people getting let go, and what do they
Yeah.
do next?
Yeah.
And I I grew up always watching a lot of American and British films, the old stuff, and there was one that said blondes have more fun. Well, the older you get and the more blonde you become, you find that with the corporations, they know where the expenses are, and for whatever
Right.
reason, there are too many people with a bit of blonde hair, getting cut out, and
Yeah.
the a job loss or something like that in any time in your career can be an inconvenience, but the older you get, it can be a disastrous. People just don't adapt.
It can be devastating. Yes, I agree. I've only ever worked for corporations that had to do with the fitness industry, and even though like you're physically active and you're running around and things like that,
Mm.
there's still I found some differences in moral belief sets as well. Like, have you experienced that with your clients? Like, there's just something in them that doesn't agree with how it's being run right now.
Well, and yes to that, but
I mean, you were lucky, right? You had, an ideal set of circumstances, a great boss who knew the right thing to do, but sometimes you don't have that.
yeah, and this, I'm a bit of an old romantic or whatever. I've always believed in the underdog, and I had a sort of taste of reality. One of the reasons I was brought to the US was to kick off a global project to connect our customers with our different companies around the world. There I was
Mhm.
building networks for other people and very successful.
Right.
I wasn't building them for myself. So that was the thing that I saw when I went out. I need to start, relying upon networks. But as the more people I spoke to, they were finding, look, wow, we're worried now, 2008, 2012, these undercurrents we're seeing, like, we were promised, a 40 years and a gold watch. That's not happening.
No.
And it was a whole, and I kind of believe that after 2008, companies found that, look, whatever reason, we need to let a load of people go. Profits were starting to bounce back with less people. So that drove the trend of not taking on full-time employees, taking on contract labor,
Right.
and that got to be a different dynamic for people finding work instead of just applying to a company. All of
Right.
these things started to change. So that was the beginning of it, I think. The 2012 time, the hook really set then.
Yeah, my dad was the senior illustrator for IBM for 38 years. That you don't see that anymore. That's not it's not the norm anymore.
No.
But so tell us, like when do you know you're ready to transition from a corporate job into the life of your dreams? Like, how do you what are the telltale signs that you're ready? You have to make a move now.
Okay, I think one is being called into the HR office and being told, okay, later in life, and think, oh my goodness. But the you know, I grew up an engineer and I went into sales and I evolved in all of that. And I would always say to people on my team, the ones I was working with, look, if you don't get up every day and get a kick out of getting that order, knowing that you are going to help a customer with what you've got, and they've committed to you as a partner, and they trust you, and that's something sacred, and you've got to really look after that.
Right.
If you don't get that buzz every time you get an order, go look at doing something different.
Yeah.
And for people that are fighting their way through the commute, going to an office and just marking their card during the day, drinking lots of coffee and just socializing and just
Right.
sliding by with enough, that's the time. Get out. Life shouldn't just be all about that. It's people spend 10 hours a day in an office. Well, they used to, and That's no way to live a life in my book. I believe that we can have more fun out of doing the stuff you're good at. And
Right. I agree. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, I know everyone says like, oh, you're all about the mind body connection and fitness and wellness and weight loss, et cetera. But the one thing that people don't understand, and I just gave a reading to someone yesterday that did illustrate this perfectly, is that if you are not fulfilled, if you haven't expressed that gift inside of you, it's going to compromise your thyroid. It's going to compromise your pancreas and your metabolism. And that is just the facts. So when I see people who are struggling in corporate positions, for a paycheck, basically, I also see them kind of like dying inside a little bit because they're not actualizing their gifts. They're not really creating something from their own souls. They're like replicating something that a corporation has given them as a template for success. So that was main motivator for me to have you on, because I really do believe every single area of your life pertains to your health in one form or another. So when someone wants to do something, like you had a very interesting story about a matchmaker, which is kind of unusual when you think about it, come to you and try to figure out how to break away from a corporation. And I mean, forgive me, I'm not in that world, but like, what were the first steps that you gave him to kind of like segue into his own business doing this?
well, we sat down and spoke, but if I could just take one step little back, because what you said there is so key. I've rebranded my business this year, and my website is called thehealthy3.com. My email is still at that. Now my business is called Never Interview Again. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but that three things: strength of spirit, wellness, health, and having money in your pocket. Those are inexorably connected. And
Yes.
to your point, if somebody is deficient in one area, it will manifest in another area, and this is a spiral that goes on. Now, coming back to your question, this gentleman turned into. Sorry, I bumped the mic there. I'm from Wales. We talk with our hands,
That's fine.
got that from my mum. This chap I've known for a while approached me and said, "Look, I've been a matchmaker for years." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I've been in a partnership, and really, I've been the one that's doing all the work, and other people are having all the fun. And it's taken me many, many years to realize this. I'm ready now to take the step. I just don't know which steps to take." So we sat down, and we really just, for the first couple of times that we talk, is just talk and talk and talk about what does it feel like? Where do you feel you are not fulfilled? And what are the things that would excite you? And we started sort of pulling things out and capturing them, so on. And he came out with some crazy statistics. In the 19 years he's been doing this, there are thousands and thousands of matches that he's brought people together. And
Wow.
I joked with him. I said, "You're probably responsible for more babies than Barry White."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah," and so where we started was starting with the end in mind. I said, "Look, you've had this last so many years now. Can you tell me all the things you didn't like and the things you did like?" And then we focused on the did likes. I said, "Right now, in 3 years' time, where do you think that you would like to be?" And there's different things that I do. I would say, "Look, what's the ideal day that you would get? You get up and, hey, we're going to 30-second commute nowadays. That works, But where do you think in 3 years your ideal day what it would look like? Where you would be, situated? What would be the situation for your family with regards to some of the things we've spoken of there? The happiness, everybody's well, there's money in the bank, all the bills are covered and so on. And then start working it backwards of the things that we need to put in place and visualizing those right, in order to get this level of business, I need to have this level of type of customers, and I
Right.
need to be able to keep, bringing in new customers and satisfying them and building my reputation up. And what we've done, his sort of model um, that we've developed isn't like the online stuff of having you know, a huge market or wherever, and it's almost like you just go in and you just select and choose and roll the dice. This is very
Right.
boutique. He's
Okay.
digging deep into a lot of his expertise and networks, and he deals with a lot of doctors and attorneys and so on. People just don't have a lot
Right.
of time to get out and meet others.
Right.
So that's where we started, and we've gradually mapped something out for him. And I run a program, or offer a program called 100 Days of Action, and
Ooh.
from a get go into 100 days, and it's a challenge to give a guarantee. But I
Yeah.
will say, if you follow the steps that we've agreed, I'll guarantee that you will have, a active and growing business.
Right.
But the strange thing is, experience shows now, really for the first 3 to 4 weeks, we are putting all the building blocks in place, and then in the next 4 weeks it starts to accelerate,
Right.
and then when in the last sort of period up to the 100 days, we can see the repeat customers coming back, and referrals come in and so on, and it grows. It's like growing seeds.
Yeah. I think it's so important also to work with someone who has been there, done that, kind of like created the wheel that you just now need to replicate instead of creating something brand new. I think you're a huge resource for that type of information, and especially knowing how and when to reach out to the right people at the right time to support your efforts. Do you ever find that you're ever asked to do or help someone whose expertise is outside of your realm of expertise?
It happens more often than I would like to say it doesn't happen. And what I do then is I'll reach out to somebody that maybe has a bit more of an area of expertise.
Right.
If I find there are real blockages with somebody, I'm doing them a disservice by not saying, look, I want to introduce somebody else into the conversation or wherever. And whatever our agreement is, our contract is, and there's usually enough to right at the beginning we'll anticipate some of these things.
Right.
And yeah, in case a lot of people haven't noticed, I'm a guy. Um, guys they don't talk so well to other guys. So every now and then I need to. It's almost like Tony Robbins would do. He'd just break the cycle, a bit of a shock therapy. Bring somebody else in, or stop the conversation. So I will do that occasionally. So I've got a group of people that I work with, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I taught in the world of sales was, if you don't believe in yourself, believe in your product, and believe in the company that you worked for, but believe the most that the customer is going to be the one that's going to benefit out of all of those things coming together. If you don't
Yeah.
in your heart of hearts believe that, go do something else. And
Right.
that's the experience that I aim for. I want people to come back, and you know, I learned so many little throwaway things from my dad. He would say that, look, if you've got a problem with me, come and talk to me. If you're happy with me, go tell everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I also want to address, I know a lot of people, that I have worked with or people that I know, they're very concerned about income during that transition time. Like there's a lot of people that don't know how to kind of like do the 100 steps on the side while they're still making an income in the corporation they're
Mm.
about to leave. But like, do you have any advice for people about straddling those two worlds right now?
Well, if the penny hasn't dropped now over this last few years, and looking at the group of people that I typically work with, they're a little bit older. They're not the ones just left college and so on.
Right.
These are the folks with families, mortgages, and if they were around in 2008, I bet they were, and they were around in 2012, if they didn't get some sort of a warning signal and start accruing something for a rainy day, then to be quite honest, they need a small tap, if not a kick in the butt.
Right.
The whole thing of having a contingency fund, a nest egg, 3 months at least that will cover everything. But if you can put 6 in place, if you can put more in place, and that gives a buffer, that gives some room to maneuver, something to take the pressure off. And then and one sort of mind's eye picture I would paint is that wherever everybody is currently, they know how to get to Disney.
Yeah.
They know where Disney is. They know how to get. And from where I am, it's go south. Now, that's all I need to worry about. Get on a road and go south. Along the way, one of the roads may be closed and there's a detour. That's okay.
Right.
I can go around, I can adapt. That is what I would say to people is, look, once you have an idea of where you want to be, then you've got to start setting a course there. But don't worry about if there's deviations along the way. Right. But, and look, I'm a guy. We stopped asking for directions when GPS came out. We still rely on a machine instead of stopping and asking at a gas station. I would encourage everybody, don't go it alone. There are far too many that have gone alone, myself, and after a while you realize you need assistance. I have a coach. I rely upon my coach. We talk about all sorts of stuff. Her and my wife keep me straight. Okay.
Right.
So it's not a failure. We can't expect to have everything at our fingertips. We've got to learn some things along the way. And if we fail, don't worry. Failure is just a way of learning, a way not to do something, and it may not fit the right time.
Right. Right.
So just put a buffer in place. Give yourself, your family, the backstop there. And many I've worked with that have come out of the corporate world through no choice of their own, have started something. Their confidence has come back, particularly with men, because it's an ego thing, it's all my fault and everything. Yeah. And their very confidence has sparked something in somebody else. They've seen them. Hey, I kind of like how you look, you talk, what you do. Would you be interested in coming to work with me? So I'm definitely not anti-paycheck. I am very pro.
That's a thought.
Yeah, I'm very pro self-reliance,
right,
and adaptability, and confidence, and all of these things. And if you've done nothing, you might be feel a bit jittery about it. If you've done it a few times, it becomes a lot easier.
I agree with that. I think that even if people have not really had that huge nest egg to save up, and don't really have the luxury of, transitioning without a job or income per se. I think there are ways that you can build out little initiatives, like maybe the first 5 steps on your 100-day, program. Mm-hmm. I think, it's always doable. There's always a way that you can make your dreams come true. And it's not really about whether or not you're capable, or, a lot of people have self-esteem issues when they try to make transitions like this. I hear it all the time. You've heard it all the time. Like, I'm not worthy. I don't have the right skill set. I don't have any, I think there's always a way that you can make some steps towards what you really want. And 9 times out of 10, more than the person you're going to coach anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because of your expertise and your history and your background, et cetera, your experience. But I also, confidence comes through, this is Raul, he's just saying confidence comes through positive mind. That's true. Mm-hmm. You have to have a good attitude and support. Like, what do you do if your family doesn't, if your wife or your husband doesn't support you transitioning out? Like, what happens then?
That and, without getting into specifics or whatever. I've got people that I'm working with, and they know more about certain subjects. I'm learning from them. We can't know everything,
Right.
but I see
Right.
they are under pressure, and it sometimes comes. The pressure comes from people that have confidence issues themselves, and they want to project them onto others, and because they are worried about what the future could be rather than the person. But then it's that pressure. So I would say,
Right.
look, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to dig in. Okay, it's especially for some of the men out there. Look, if you believe you're the head of the house, you go do it. If you've been told off that that's not the direction to go for you, then you've got to hold that at arm's length, and you've got to prove that you can do it. You know,
And like you said, I think it has a lot to do with communicating, just saying, listen, this is a transition period for me. I hope that I have your support
mm,
and that your love will, understand why I'm doing this. And then, help me understand myself even better. I think there's always openings for those kinds of conversations. And if you're not having those conversations, then maybe that's not the person you should be with. You know what I'm saying? Like, honest to
it,
God, like if it's just that simple.
exactly. And one, we had exactly this a couple of weeks ago. Just throwing things around with the matchmaker, and he had some pressure coming from family and so on. And I said, in particular with your wife, is she asking you questions? And she said, well, kind of, but she's muttering or whatever. I said, what I want you to do is get a big whiteboard, a huge whiteboard, and stick it on the wall in your office. And I want you to put all of your prospects that you're working with, and highlight the ones that are at different stages, the ones that have just contracted with you, the ones that are just about to make a decision, when you expect it, and put some big numbers on the bottom of that, total it all up, and give some confidence through numbers. And like in the
Right.
world of sales, pipelines are the thing.
Hmm.
When I went into this whole world of sales and marketing years ago, it was drummed into me that 80% of businesses go bust making a profit. Their problem there was cash flow. They weren't,
Yes.
getting money in. But if you can't visualize things like where your money is tied up, you don't know where to go and get it.
Right.
So in any sort of any business, it's all about prospective customers and moving them through, let's call it the funnel, to the point where they can make a commitment, take ownership of the product or service, and then put it to work in their business. And the more we visualize things, it boosts confidence. So
Hmm.
we did this, gave it a week or so. So how did it go? So the conversation was very encouraging. I
Good.
didn't realize that this is how big this potential opportunity is, and I feel a little bit more confident now. The pressure didn't completely go away, but
Right.
it's now a point of communication.
I think
And
that's an excellent thought to like kind of reiterate your experience and where you are right now and how can make you successful individually instead of giving the success to someone else. I worked for gyms that would take 3/4 of my hourly rate, and that was just like heartbreaking. Raul says yes, transition can be possible by positive conversation between warm and positive people. Yes, an introvert person can also be change. Malcolm is absolutely right. Yes. Thank you, Raul. That's exactly right. And Raul, I
thank
mean,
you, Ro.
I think Raul sounds like he has his own business as well. He's
Mm,
listened to a few of our podcasts in the past. I also think that it is about confidence. It is about having a strategy, a plan, and it is about getting that support network you need. But have you ever experienced anyone who is just like, I don't know what to do. I know I don't want to work in corporate America anymore, but I don't know what to do. Like, any advice for them?
yeah, and again, it's look. The one I've done like 3-day workshops with salespeople, professional salespeople, and have them explain to me how businesses work. And businesses are
Hmm.
like armies. You've got a general, you've got captains, you've got sergeants, you've got soldiers. Everybody has his place, and understanding how the businesses work and flow can be such a powerful thing. So what I would say to people is, look, you've got marketing departments, you've got production departments, you've got, payroll, you've got all of these. Now, the reason you've got departments is one guy who started the company can't do everything. For
Right.
him, those departments, divisions, and disciplines are a problem.
Yes.
So you find people that can manage that problem, can solve that problem. So the one thing that I talk with people about is, when you worked for a company, what did you do? And so many of I've got this title attached to them. Oh, I was the director of this, and I was a VP of that. Just
Right.
strip that away. What did you actually do? And they keep coming back to this. I had teams. So look, did anyone ever send something to knock on your office door and say, hey, Jim sent me over here because I've got this problem, and you're probably the best guy can help me solve it? Oh, yeah, that happened often. All right. What was that problem? Well, I did this, this, and this. Good. Did that problem exist only at that company, or did it exist elsewhere? Oh, it's a common thing. It's a functional, right? So if you came away from that company, do you think you could go with your problem-solving capabilities and all your experience and go and speak to other people, see if they have that problem and solve it for them? Oh, yeah, I expect so. Right, you just created the foundation of a job for yourself, a career for yourself. And
it's something, it sounds like they would enjoy continuing to do. That was a part of their job that maybe it was like outlining their description, but they still enjoy doing it and can take that outside the building. Yeah, that's awesome.
But then some of the things are, oh, I don't know how to sell or whatever. Look, all these things can be learned. If somebody's married or has got a significant other, they've sold themselves a relationship.
Yeah.
If they've ever gone and got a job, they've sold their capabilities, and those capabilities have been purchased.
That's a good point. Sales are in everything, right?
And it's everywhere. Walk into a room, every single thing you see in the room has been sold.
Yeah. 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 And I love what you just said. You sold yourself to someone else in a relationship. Like, hey, I'm just that good. I think that's awesome. That's awesome.
And to do this sometimes, if anyone that has is trying to communicate an idea or whatever, I'd work a lot with people in between jobs and whatever, and go around the room and say, right, who's the IT guy, who's the production guy, who's the project management, who's administrative, and who's in sales. And there's like 2-3% will admit to being in sales. It's almost like, it's a dirty word. I said, okay, all right, everyone in here, who's looking for a job? They all put their hands up. I said, right, if I can give everybody here a job now on the spot, would you be happy? Oh, yes, yeah. All right. I've just hired everybody now, but you're your own salespeople. You all have skills, you all have services and everything, and you want to trade your hours for a paycheck. And they go cold. I said, look, all you've got to do is understand or communicate to yourself.
Right.
I'm in the process of selling what I have, because when somebody identifies the value that is inherent in what I'm offering, they will hire me. There will be an exchange there. They will sell themselves. Once you get over that 1 or 2 times, you're out of the woods.
Yeah, and I think the additional motivation is that knowing you get to keep 100% of the commission in the sale. Yep. You get to keep it all. Mm-hmm. That's just such an incredible motivator for so many people.
One thing I must get this in there. When people understand the benefits of small businesses, understanding the tax codes, then you start to get into the bonus round, because every government around the world wants businesses to be created because they're a tax base.
Right.
So it's I would say to somebody, if you've got a partner that is gainfully employed and something happens to you, don't worry. Think of that partner maybe getting the 2 and 3% pay increases every year. They add up. Think now you start in a business at home. All the deductions you can take for offices and gas and lawn services and coffee and wherever like that are going to add up to much more than that 2 or 3% pay increase every year. So
absolutely,
get creative.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Raul says, no, it's okay. Raul says a person can learn more when he or she knows how to empty the full glass of water and pour the water out and pour the water again. This is the way to expand the knowledge. Yes, yep. And I think it just takes a little bit of soul searching. Like you said, the starting point is, are you happy? And second, like, what are your talents? What are you good at doing? And third, how much can you make for it? And then creating that plan. But do you have any last minute tips or tricks or things we can do to transition and live the life of our dreams?
Yeah, everything is all about practice. If you listen to a song once or twice, you'll hum it next time it comes along. You listen to it 15 or 16 times, you'll start singing the words. If it's on 50 times, if karaoke ever comes back, you'll be up there and you'll be singing at the top of your voice. It's the same.
That would be me.
It's like, and salespeople become a little bit outwards. They are extrovert and so on. It's the same kind of thing when you're thinking about what do I really want to do, or what could I do? And people are not dreaming anymore. People are scared. They're getting paralyzed because they're fearful. And anyone that is business minded would know that you can adapt. And now, like every other time in this country's history, opportunity abounds for those that want to step out, believe in themselves, and go after it. And I believe very much more in being the driver than the passenger.
Right.
And as I say, it's okay to have a job, but you're not cheating on anybody by building something in the background.
Right.
Tony Robbins says, look, you pay the bills from 9 till 5, you build your fortune from 6 till 10.
Oh, that's a great quote. And I listen to him all the time. Oh my God, that's a great quote. It is true. You just have to keep practicing. I tell my sons all the time, they're like, oh, I've never done this. I have one son who's now a radio show host in his college. And he was like, I didn't do so well. It's your second time, come on, give it a break. You can do this. And that's true for anything. And I think a lot of people, they give up too quickly sometimes, like they don't give it enough time that they, like you said, their experiences, this is the 18th time I've done this. That means like, I'm getting pretty good, yeah.
And the crazy thing is once you start to do it and you start to see how things come together, your field of view goes out and you start looking for opportunities and you start, I could add this in. I can offer another service, or I can help somebody develop this, or I can create another business,
and that's where it gets fun. It gets exciting because then that's all you. That has nothing to do with the corporate world anymore. Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. Right. Well, thank you so much, Malcolm. You have been awesome. Do you have any goodies to give away today?
Oh yes, I do. Okay, and we're getting into Christmas now, and there's a couple of things that I'd like to offer
sure.
at the end of the year. On my website, neverinterviewagain.com.
Okay, let me do this.
Okay. As I say, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Always be interviewing customers. That's the thing. It's so neverinterviewagain.com, and you go onto the contact page. And there's a couple of orange boxes on there. One says Afterglow Special. Go there. Somebody presses the button. They will be really surprised at what's at the end of that. There's anything for a budding entrepreneur or somebody that wants to learn about how to, flesh out some of the deficiencies they've got in skills. And that can be equally as well for corporate or whatever. There's a ton of stuff I'm going to put in their hands there. I've actually got a webinar running next week, which will be talking about the subject, and I will be giving some things away as well. That's on the other side of the page under webinar.
So will they contact you through your website, or do you have like a separate link for your contact information for the webinar next week?
It is all on that page.
It is all on that page. Okay.
Yeah. So Never Interview Again, contact, and all my numbers, everything is on there. Anyone can reach out to me and so on. But take action.
Raul, you're right.
Action. Yeah. No one's going to take it on your behalf.
Right. And just know that there are a lot of people out there, working on the same thing. And like Malcolm is such a wonderful resource for this type of transitioning. You can reach out to Malcolm for one-on-one coaching as well. Is that right?
That is, yeah. And just to say, look, as I said at the beginning, I grew up in a pub. I was surrounded from an early age with people that were small business minded, farmers and so on like that. Take care of themselves. Think of what
That's
your
awesome.
ancestors did back a few generations. Did they work in a factory or an office, or did they do something for themselves? We've gone full circle. The need to do something for yourself is more important now than ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been very enlightening. Thank you so much, Malcolm. I want you back on maybe after the new year when some people have made some New Year's resolutions about what they want to do in their careers. And we'll have some more good information for everyone to enjoy. And I want to thank you for joining us today. Thanks, Malcolm. You were awesome.
Thank you. And we don't speak before Christmas, and whichever festive season you go into and people are listening, hey, be safe, stay warm. I'm in Atlanta now. It's not hot Atlanta this week, so it's
Oh, no.
hopefully
Too
Santa's
bad.
going to bring me a new pullover or something. So
Yay! All right. Thanks again, Malcolm, and have a great afternoon, everyone. A wonderful weekend. I'll be back Tuesday giving another mind body reading to a new guest. If you'd like a mind body reading on my podcast, just contact Nicole at mindbodymastery.org, and I can type that in too. Or you could just call me 646-739-7879. Thank you so much. And I will just stick this in quickly. .org. Okay. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Malcolm.
Bye bye.